All right, hello Guild Wars 2 gamers, Mucklick here, and we've got another episode of I Tried, where I try something that I don't usually play to see if the grass is greener on the other side and share with you my experiences. This is the Heal, Support, Alacrity, Staff, Water, Otter, Evoker, Elementalist. Oh, I'm so happy I got all that on the first try. Okay. All right, let's just move on because it's all downhill from here. All right, so that's what I am playing today. This is the healing version of the Evoker, and it's water, and it's otter, and it's stick. So how does this work? What we have here is a standard kitty cat golem, a moderate damage field. I am going to give myself quickness to simulate being partied with someone who knows how to play the game, and we are going to run in here. So let's pretend we just start the fight. And we are going to run in here, and we are going to do this, and do this, and visit air for swiftness, visit earth for prot, visit fire for combo, visit water for combo, and just do some stuff here. I'm going to save healing rain until I need it. Hit the otter button, visit air again, visit earth again, visit fire again, visit water again, and again, we're just derping around for a second. Hit the otter button. And air, swiftness, earth 2, fire 2, water 2, hit the water otter button again. Okay, so we have got alacrity, we've got protection, swiftness, fury, 25 might, regen, quickness is coming from the console, vigor is not to be found. There is no vigor here, sorry, look elsewhere. So, as you saw, that was no problem at all. So, let's do this. We're gonna turn the damaging field back off, and we're gonna turn it up to extreme. Extreme is unrealistic. If you can heal through a moderate damage field, that's fine. This is extreme, which is more damage than most raid bosses do. This is simply to prove a point. So I'm going to run over here, and we are going to run in here, and I'm going to use my heal and use the otter thing, and use this, and use this, and use this, and I actually let myself get, maybe use the healing rain after all. I got a little bit lower there than I would have preferred, and let's do that, and do that. And, okay, I think we've stabilized now. It was scary for a moment, but I think we have stabilized. Okay, so, there we go. All right, so we are in an extreme damage field, and we are staying alive, and going to do that. Okay, and there we go. Yeah, we're stable. So, I could just keep wailing on the thing, but just so I can talk, I'm going to leave that. So, it can heal through extreme damage. That's awesome. Back when I tried this during the beta, I was not able to do so. I could not do that. So during the Elite Specialization beta, before VOE came out, when I tried the Evoker at that time with Water Otter, in a word, it was really bad. You could run with Warhorn, and you could keep the boons up for the most part, but you didn't have access to stability or Aegis. You could run with Staff and have access to stability, but you couldn't really keep the boons up, and there was really no way to make it work. So now it is better than it was considerably. So let's go over the build and how I played it and what problems I had. So I found this build on at the time of recording this. The other websites such as Guild Gen and MetaBattle that did not have any water Evoker builds. I found one on Snowcrows, and there is one that is used in World v World by some people that abandons boons, and it is pure water, and it is just huge healing for, you know, big stacks of people. However, in PvE, people expect the healer to provide buffs, so we were doing the not pure water version. Okay, so Harrier on all the armor, Rune of Water. We're using a staff with transference and paralyzation. We've got Givers down here to give us some toughness, and we're using Relic of Castora. Now, the Relic on the Snowcrows website says to use Relic of Altruism, which really didn't make any sense to me. I'm actually wondering if that was an error. Relic of Altruism gives Might and Fury after using a healing skill, but we can keep up Might and Fury without using our healing skill, and we are not using the healing skill in our rotation. We're using it when we need to heal ourselves or when we need to give the group Aegis. With this build, the healing skill gives Aegis. So you could use something else. I ended up using Castora just to try out one of the new relics. It increases your healing output when the target is low health, which is really cool. So it helps, you know, save people from the brink of death. And there is other stuff like, you know, Rune of the Monk, or sorry, Relic of the Monk, Relic of Duena, things like that that could be useful. But I used Castora today. Going over to the build, we are using Arcane, Water, and Evoker. This is the build right here. For our special thing, obviously we've got the Water Otter selected for the animal companion. We're using Rejuvenate, which is a heal skill that gives Aegis to the party. Fox's Fury helps keep Fury and Might up on the group. You basically just hit this every single time it lights up. Toad's Fortitude will help with prod up time, but it's also your stability button. So if you know you're not going to need it for stab in the next 15 seconds, you could just hit it to help with prot uptime. But if you think you're going to need stability soon, then save it for when you need it. Renewal of Water. These are flex slots, honestly. You could change this for like Glyph of, or not, sorry, not Glyph, Signet of Water for a very long range powerful heal and Condi Cleanse. Or if you needed CC, you could bring Arcane Wave or the Summon Bow. You know, any of those are CC options. I elected to go with a emergency res because I pug a lot and I like being able to save people when I can. And then here you could bring the Summon Elemental and use it with water for more healing, or you could use Elemental Procession, which basically Elemental Procession fires off all of the 4 animals, the otter, the fox, the hare, and the toad's abilities all at the same time. For anyone who doesn't know how the evoker works, I'm just gonna whiff this for a second, ignore that. Basically, whenever you use certain abilities, it will power up this ring. When it's powered up, you hit a button, and in the case of the otter, he emits a healing pulse and regeneration around him. And if we charge him up again, and just gonna do that 3 times, and then after doing it 3 times, the Omega Otter charges, and you do that, and he does a massive heal on an area, and it's also a CC. So if you use Elemental Procession, you target an area, and all the animals do their things. So the hare does damage, the fox does damage, the otter does a big heal and CC, and the toad does a big CC. So you can use this for emergency healing or CC time or whatever. All of that works. Some other flex things that you could use down here is, let me leave combat for a second, is Otter's Compassion. This does give vigor, but you can't get 100% uptime from it. But this does some vigor. This is a boost to your outgoing healing. It's a stun break. It does some resolution, does some Condi Cleanse and regen on your party. So this does a little bit of a lot of things. So that's an option as well. But you've got some choices here. I do feel that you're locked into Fox's Fury. These two I do not feel you're locked in, although I do really like having stability on demand. So Toad's Fortitude would probably always stay on my bar. And, Renewal of Water again, that's something that could be changed out. Okay, so that is the build. How was I playing it? So just to go up here, when you use Rejuvenate, it will fully charge the wheel as if you had done a whole bunch of stuff. So right at the beginning of the fight, use Rejuvenate and then fire off the otter thing just to get Alacrity up. And then visit air and hit 4. Visit earth 2, fire 2, water 2. The end result there is that the earth and the water 2 skills blast the fire patch for might. When you blast a fire patch, you do a might generating combo for your team. So earth 2, fire 2, water 2. That's pretty easy to remember. That's not that bad. But every time they light up, literally every time they light up, you need to swap. Go to air, hit 4 if it's up, earth, do 2, fire, do 2, water, do 2. And then in 5 seconds, you got to do that again. And part of the reason for that is you give the group 10 seconds of protection every time you go to Earth, and going to Earth has a 10-second cooldown. So you need to be visiting Earth every single time it lights up to keep that prot on your party, and it's really tight. And again, if you burn Toad's Fortitude, that gives you a little bit more cushion, as long as you don't need the stability in the next 15 seconds. So during the attempts where I was healing with this today, I'm new to it, right? I'm new to it. I was making mistakes. And anytime I would slip up by even a second, protection would fall off of the team. And that sucked. It was really strict. So it was like, I had 5 seconds to actually do stuff. And then it was like, go to air, F3, 4, F4, 2, F1, 2, F2, 2. Okay, and then I could play and do other things for a few seconds. So you're doing that on repeat. You're hitting Fox's Fury every time it's up. Rejuvenate only heals you, but it gives the whole group Aegis, and it fully charges this, which allows you to, fire off the Otter Blast. The Otter Blast, the little Otter Blast, you want to fire off pretty much every time they light up, because they are what provides the group with Alacrity. And then the big Otter Blast, pretty much as soon as possible, and just, you have to aim that one. The little one is around you. The big one you aim like this. So you want to make sure that, you know, it goes where the group is going to be, because you see there's a short cast time, so you want to make sure that it goes where they're going to be after like a second. So how did it feel to play this? Carpal tunnel-y, if that's a word? Like, I bound the otter button to my like mouse 4, and I was hitting mouse 4 just constantly with my right hand, and my left hand was cycling through the elements almost nonstop the whole time. Now, I don't think the element cycling was as bad as like when I played Tempest or Catalyst or Weaver in the past, because this was pretty easy to learn. Again, visit air, hit 4 if it's up, earth 2, fire 2, water 2. And then that leaves us in water. We could do some more healing and then do it again. But you had to do it very frequently. Less than every 10 seconds, you had to do that again. And if you slipped up by a second, your prot could fall off, and stuff like that. So the protection uptime was very tight. Fury and Might were not too bad once they got going, but it was a little bit more snug than many other classes. So the APM is extremely high on this compared to most other supports that I've played recently, such as Druid, such as Untamed, such as Amalgam, such as Ritualist, such as Scourge. I mean, Scourge is also decently high, but it doesn't have 4 weapons you're swapping between, so it doesn't feel as rough as this one does. One thing this does have going for it is the healing output. Just the raw amount of healing around it that is happening is extremely high. One of the strikes that I did today was the Bone Skinner. And that was, I just usually do all the daily strikes and then the IBS 5 when I'm testing a build. Bone Skinner, I was with a group and the healer left. And someone said, can I join him DPS? And I was like, sure, let's just do it and go. And we ended up with 9 DPS. Now, of course, I'm playing EVOKER for my first time and I'm the solo healer for a group of 9 people at Bone Skinner. It's probably going to be rough. Okay. However, you know, the main issue, of course, is just the major healing the major damage there. So anyone that failed to dodge out of a puddle, they would just die instantly. If they failed to dodge something else, they might die. However, the people that were doing the mechanics, I was keeping them up. And at the end, we looked at my healing output using Arc DPS, and it was 15,000 health per second. Higher than I had ever seen on any other character I had played, which was very impressive. Now, again, you're getting maximum healing efficiency when the whole group is getting just absolutely slammed every second. There's almost no overhealing in that situation. But we had a lot of healing output. I was never in danger of going down. We kept everyone else around us just, filled with heals as much as I could. And if people did go down state, we had Arcane Resurrection and Geyser, which is basically, if I do Geyser on someone, it will revive that area kind of like a Necro Bloodwell will with blood magic. And if I start reviving someone, it summons another Geyser. So you could double stack it. And then, of course, we've got the ranged revive that we could try to do as long as someone's not just getting melted in 1 second in a puddle. So the healing output of this, very high. The healing output of the Evoker was very good. And that was with me not playing the build that just camps water the whole time. So that was like, if I do this, you see how it's just water, 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 water? Like, this is what I mean by camping water. I mean using this right here. But we were using this, so that way we had access to swiftness, more might, and prot, which we are expected to bring for our party. It is a massive, massive difference in survivability if your group loses prot, and then suddenly they are no longer having the incoming damage they take reduced by 33%. Protection and regeneration are arguably the most powerful defensive boons when you're, if you're not talking about like quickness and alacrity. So this build, it had pretty good res potential. It had very high healing output. It did have all the essential boons except vigor, but it really hurts your hands trying to keep them up, in my opinion. You do have a stability on demand on a pretty short cooldown. Very nice. You have an Aegis on demand on a pretty short cooldown, as long as your group is in range of you when you go to use it. As long as they're close enough to that they can get hit by it. So the kit is pretty good. Right now, again, I had this bound to my mouse, so I'm firing Otter Blast with my right thumb constantly, and I am just cycling elements with my left hand constantly. Like, my hands hurt after playing this for about an hour. So we do know in the future, and they may have already done it by the time this video comes out, but ArenaNet did say that they were going to add the little moves of the familiar to autocast, which will be amazing for everyone. The people that are playing the Fire Fox, the people that are playing the Water Otter, that's going to be huge. Because right now, it's not quite Berserker, but it's like I do, 1 to 3 moves, fire an Otter. 1 to 3 moves, fire an Otter. 1 to 3 moves, fire an Otter. And if you forget for a second, the healing falls behind, the regen slows down, the alacrity falls off, because that's what gives alacrity. So you really want to stay on top of that. And it's just, you're having to devote one hand to just constantly tapping a key, and it's annoying. So I do think that this build will be more enjoyable to play once they get that autocast thing done. Would I recommend it? Yeah, it's fine, as long as you don't mind that it's higher APM. With this gear setup, so I was in like half Giver's gear to make up for the fact that Elementalists have some of the smallest amount of hit points in the game. I didn't feel too squishy because I was in half Givers and half Harriers. So my damage was terrible, like 1k DPS there. My damage was terrible. I was, but not too squishy, because if I was in full Harriers, I would have been like the glass cannon of healers. Healing output is monumental. All the boons except Vigor, and we do have the activatable on-demand boon Stability and Aegis ready. The question is, what does it do that, what is the strength of it? Like, what can it do that other healers can't? The raw healing output is definitely part of it, and you've got flex slots here so that you can, change what's in these 2 slots, these 3 actually, based on your needs, so that's a pretty big thing. It's got good cleansing. Like I said, the boons are really, really tight. I think one of the strongest things is the heal over time. Every healer in the game has access to regeneration. Well, nearly every healer has access to regeneration. And regeneration's constantly ticking on your party. Usually, if at the end of a fight, you look at what is the highest source of your healing on the group, it's usually regen. Elementalists could be arguably called the masters of heal over time in our game, because they also have a thing called Soothing Mist. Is every time they visit water, their party, for 10 seconds, gets a heal over time called Soothing Mist. So they've got regeneration and Soothing Mist. So even if your party is like running away and coming back and having to move around, you've kind of got 2 heal over times on your party at all times. One of the dailies today was Old Lion's Court, and I was nervous about this one because Old Lion's Court, usually when I'm trying a new build, is rough. It is a pug killer, and there's a lot of movement. So I was really worried about things, but it turned out okay. Every time that we had to run around, the boss is doing the vacuum and we're all trying to run away from it and everyone's taking ticking damage, they were all getting healed every second by regen. They were all getting healed every second by Soothing Mist. I could do the Healing Rain, which is another thing, healing them all every second. And none of those things individually are massive healing, but it was like 2 to 3 constant ticking heals on the whole party. And even though they were scattered all over the place, it was fine. It was fine. It worked out. And I was really happy with the results. Additionally, once you get better at this, you do have 4 weapons. You've got a movement skill on your Fire 4 with staff. And if you, hold on, Mushroom's King Blessing just failed me there. Oh, great, it's not gonna reset. Usually when you hit this button in the testing room, it is supposed to reset all your cooldowns, but it took me 3 tries there. And if you practice with that, you can about face and do it to move forward instead of having it take you backward. So you've got a big movement skill here. You have got CC on Air 5. You've got CC on Earth 4. You can transmute Earth 3 to give another stability to people. Like, there is a lot of, you got 20 buttons here. You got 5 for each element. So there is a lot of cool things here that you can learn how to do with practice. But of course, because we are cycling air, earth, and fire literally every time they light up, you might not always have those elements available unless you prepare ahead of time to do whatever. Like if you're like, oh, I'm gonna need to CC in 5 seconds, but Earth is lit up right now, I'll just not go into Earth for 5 seconds so I have access to another CC button. Well, Prot just fell off the party, unless you also use Toad's Fortitude to, give yourself a buffer. So there's a lot. I would say this was pretty easy to play, definitely hard to master. There is a high ceiling, just like almost every Elementalist build here, of where you could go with this. But it's absolutely solid, and if you really like the idea of, playing with the elements and having a little, cute animal friend, it works. It absolutely works. It works quite well, and it's good at what it does, and you can boast about having some absolutely redonkulous healing number outputs at the same time. And, yeah. I think I covered everything. Looking forward to them adding that autocast there for the sake of the risks of everybody that plays EVOKER. I now understand. But yeah, it was pretty good. Not gonna make it my main. It's similar to most LE builds. It kind of feels like I'm providing everything that, you know, my, let's say, Ritualist or my Scourge provides, but I'm hitting way more buttons to do it. Not sure if they're ever going to change that. I think they seem to enjoy having you cycle through all the elements to get everything that you want, but that is just how it is. So that's my opinion. As always, this was my first day playing EVOKER since VOE launched. So the EVOKER masters and specialists, if you are in the comments section and you have any tips or tricks or anything, you're like, oh, hey, look, you totally missed. If you had done this, this, and this, prot would have been easier. You know, whatever. Yeah, hit me with it. I will see you in the comment section and I will fight you there.